Two sports have popularized metrics that define performance in the clutch: basketball and baseball. In basketball, if there are fewer than 5 minutes remaining in the game and the margin of score is 5 points or fewer, all players' statistics are being counted in the clutch category. In baseball, the statistic measures what's called the leverage of any individual contest between a batter and a pitcher. If there are runners on the bases and the margin of score is very small, one team can go from losing to winning in an instant. So you can evaluate a player's performance in the high leverage moments and the low leverage moments. Now let's talk about football. First, how good is the team they're playing? FPL rates every player's upcoming fixtures on a difficulty scale from 1 to 5. Although they don't publish how they make this metric, we can use available information to come up with something similar. Next, we measure the importance of every moment within each game. If you're ahead 3-0 in the 90th minute, your expected points is basically 3. If you're ahead 1-0 in the 30th minute, your expected points is much closer to 1. I chose to use the difference in expected points that comes from scoring at that moment. If you're up 3-0 with 8 minutes to go and you score to make it 4-0, you barely changed your team's expected points. Whereas if the game is tied with 8 minutes to go, if you score, you go from near 1 expected points to well above 2. Here are some examples of the most important goals this year. What you can see now is a scattergram with every Premier League player who scored at least 5 goals. How should you read this? If you're on the top part of the scattergram, the goals you scored in came against better teams in the division. If you're on the right part of the scattergram, the goals you scored influenced the games you scored in a lot. Rodrigo Muniz is the player most to the right. 5 of his 7 goals gave his team the lead, and 4 of them came in the 75th minute or later. Dejan Kulusevski is the furthest to the left. 4 of his 7 goals came in matches that were basically already over. You can see how everyone who scored a lot is close to the middle. If you score a lot, you're bound to score against good and bad teams, and in all moments of the game, whether they're important or not. If you score fewer times, it's natural that your score can end up being more extreme. What if we show players who only scored at least 10 times? The players on the left didn't just fail to score important goals, their teams spent more time winning matches. The players on the right scored goals that won their team's points, because most of them aren't on very good teams. Here's the same scattergram from before, with all the elite players in Europe, for every player with at least 10 goals. You may notice the players from the Premier League moved a little bit. This is because we recalculated the average using all the top 5 leagues together. Julian Alvarez is the player furthest to the top right. I believe fans would agree that he's both a big match player and the player you want a chance to fall to in the biggest moment. Now, who had the emptiest stats? Across Europe, whose goals skewed as the least important against the worst teams in their division? What do you think? Oops.